Jackson Hayes might be turning a new page in his career. And there's one word that could completely change his impact on the court this season: shooting. Recent footage has surfaced showing Hayes putting in serious work on his three-point shot. It's not entirely out of nowhere. We caught glimpses of this potential last season, but this offseason feels different. There's a noticeable increase in intensity and focus in his shot mechanics, and it seems like he's dedicating real time to developing this area of his game. Now, let's not get carried away and start talking about Jackson Hayes pulling up like he's Kevin Durant. That's not the point here. The Lakers don't need him to become some stretch five sniper. But what they do need, and what Hayes is clearly working toward, is the ability to at least threaten from beyond the arc, or even from mid-range. Just enough to make defenders think twice before sagging off completely and packing the paint. That shift alone can open up entirely new layers to the Lakers' offensive spacing, especially when you've already got guys like Luka Doncic orchestrating the offense. And make no mistake, this kind of development doesn't just happen overnight. Jackson has had this shooting touch lingering in his bag since his time in New Orleans, but he's rarely had the green light to explore it. Coaches typically use bigs like him in a very traditional sense. Rim running, lobs, offensive rebounds. He's athletic, explosive, and one of the better lob threats in the league. That's his bread and butter. But the modern NBA demands more versatility. If you're not at least a respectable threat outside the paint, your presence on the floor becomes a liability when defenses tighten up. Just look at how teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves neutralized Hayes by simply cutting off the lob lane. Once that was gone, he didn't have much left to offer in terms of offensive production. And here's where the growth opportunity really lies. Hayes is still just 25 years old. He's not some veteran who's stuck in his ways. He just turned 25 in May. That's prime developmental age in the NBA. There's still so much room for him to evolve. And with a full off-season training camp and regular season alongside Luka, the ceiling is absolutely there for him to make a legitimate leap. The potential chemistry between Luka and Hayes has already shown flashes of greatness. Last year, even in limited minutes, the pick-and-roll connection was promising. Hayes was thriving during certain stretches of the regular season. He looked confident, mobile, and engaged, especially when the floor was spaced out properly. The problem came when teams adapted. When the playoffs came around and the game slowed down, that narrow offensive role started to become a problem. The defenses scouted him out. He became predictable, and in the postseason, predictability is death. That's why this three-point development is such a big deal. Because it's not just about him hitting threes, it's about expanding the offensive toolkit. Even knocking down the occasional 15-footer would change how defenders approach him. It makes it harder for teams to play drop coverage. It forces big men to step out, which creates lanes not just for Hayes, but for cutters, slashers, and of course Luka to operate in more space. And listen, nobody's expecting Hayes to be some sort of shooting savant. The bar isn't even that high. Maxi Kleber is a perfect example of what we're talking about. Kleber's not an elite shooter, but he's reliable enough that defenses can't just completely ignore him. He's a career 35% shooter from deep on a little over 3 attempts per game. That's it. That's the range Hayes should be aiming for. Respectable, reliable, a guy who can knock down open shots if you leave him alone. That alone is enough to change how defenses rotate and switch. Now, last season, Kleber had a bit of a down year, only shooting around 26% from 3 on reduced attempts, but the previous seasons, he was hovering right around 34 to 35% and even had 1 year north of 40%. Again, not elite, but consistent enough to stretch the defense. That's the mold Hayes should be trying to fit into. Not some high-volume shooter, just someone that defenses have to account for. If Hayes can be that guy, even just a little bit, it could be a game changer. What's interesting is that Hayes doesn't have an awful shooting form for a big man. His mechanics aren't broken. It's really more about reps and rhythm, getting comfortable in live game scenarios, building that confidence, and knowing that the coaching staff is behind him when he does take that shot. Last year, there was some speculation about whether J.J. Redick would give Hayes the freedom to shoot threes this upcoming season. And while that didn't materialize in any real volume, the conversation itself shows there's at least an awareness within the coaching staff of his potential to stretch the floor. And that's the key, potential. because we're not dealing with a finished product here. Jackson Hayes is still very much a work in progress, and that's a good thing. It means there's still time for him to grow into a more complete player, especially when you consider that the Lakers might need to lean on him more than people expect. DeAndre Ayton, for all his talent, is not a lock to play 82 games. In fact, based on history, you're probably looking at somewhere between 60 to 65 games. That leaves at least 15 to 20 games where Hayes could be the starter. That's real opportunity, real minutes. And if Hayes can produce in those games, even just hold the fort, that alone makes him a valuable asset. Looking at his numbers from last season, in just under 20 minutes per game, Hayes averaged close to 7 points, 5 rebounds, and chipped in some defense with blocks and steals. That's solid backup production. But what if he bumps that up to 10 points, 6 rebounds, and adds a respectable shooting percentage from beyond the arc? That's no longer just solid. That's a high-value bench player. That's a guy who can swing second units and give the Lakers a reliable insurance policy when Ayton needs rest or misses time. But it's not just offense where Hayes has room to grow. Defensively, he's shown flashes, but consistency is still the question. He's a great athlete, moves well laterally, and can defend in space better than most bigs. But discipline has been his Achilles heel. He bites on fakes too often, gets into foul trouble early, and sometimes loses positioning under the rim. If he can clean up the mental side of his defense, stay grounded, keep his hands up, and improve his timing, he has the tools to be a real presence on that end. What's encouraging is that his defensive versatility is there. He is not a statue. He can switch onto wings, he can hedge on pick and rolls, and he has the agility to recover if he gets beat. The pieces are all there. It's just about putting them together in a way that consistently impacts winning. And when you pair that kind of defensive upside with a developing offensive skill set, especially shooting, you start to see why the Lakers are still high on him. There's been a lot of talk about whether the Lakers need to go out and get another backup center. Names like Robert Williams and Nick Richards get floated around. And sure, if a deal presents itself, especially in a bigger package, you take it. But it's not necessarily something the team needs to do right now. The margins for backup centers are thin. Come playoff time, they're playing 10, maybe 15 minutes. What really matters is whether that time is productive, and that's where Hayes can carve out his niche. If in those 10 to 15 minutes a night, he's giving you energy, rim protection, finishing lobs, and knocking down an occasional jumper, that's a win. That's all you can ask for from a backup five. He doesn't need to be an all-star. He just needs to be solid, consistent, reliable. And hey, maybe that's where this offseason work is leading him. We're seeing the grind. We're seeing the shots go up. And if those shots start falling when the lights are on, then the Lakers may have found a quietly important piece of their rotation. Someone who was already in the building. Someone who's ready to take that next step, not by changing who. He is, but by expanding who he can be. So here's where things really start to get interesting. When we talk about Jackson Hayes making a leap, it's not just about improving on paper or in theory. It's about seeing how those improvements translate within the context of the Lakers system, their rotations, their matchups, and the challenges of a deep postseason run. It's easy to look at off-season footage and get excited about a guy hitting threes in an open gym. But what matters is whether those reps turn into real impact when the pace picks up, the game slows down, and every possession matters. Hayes is in a make-or-break stretch of his career, where he's no longer just a young project, but a player expected to contribute meaningfully on a contending team. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on. In the world of professional basketball, rumors and speculations often swirl around star players, shaking the foundations of teams and fan bases alike. Recently, the sports community has been buzzing with the possibility that Giannis Antetokounmpo, the towering and talented forward currently shining with the Milwaukee Bucks, might be on the verge of a blockbuster move to the Los Angeles Lakers. This rumor has set off a flurry of discussions across social media platforms, sports talk shows, and insider reports hinting at a potential shift that could redefine the balance of power in the NBA. Antetokounmpo, Known for his incredible athleticism, versatility, and leadership, has long been a centerpiece for Milwaukee, leading the team to significant successes. Yet, the allure of joining the Lakers, a franchise rich in history and star power, seems to be a tempting new chapter for the Greek Freak. Speculation suggests that Lakers management has been aggressively pursuing this acquisition to strengthen their roster and pursue championship glory once again. While no official announcement has been made, the rumor mill is working overtime, creating a tantalizing narrative about how this potential transfer could impact both franchises and the league's dynamics. The prospect of Giannis Antetokounmpo in the purple and gold jersey of the Los Angeles Lakers has sparked widespread intrigue, largely because of what it could mean strategically for the Lakers. The team has been searching for a transformational player to elevate their performance and competitiveness in a fiercely contested Western Conference. Giannis, with his dominant inside game, defensive prowess, and playmaking ability, fits the mold of the kind of superstar who can propel the Lakers back to championship contention. Analysts are speculating that the Lakers front office might be ready to make bold moves, potentially including sending significant assets to Milwaukee in exchange. This rumored deal would not only change the immediate future of both teams, but could also send shockwaves throughout the league. Fans and critics alike are weighing in on whether this acquisition would be worth the cost for the Lakers and how Milwaukee might respond if they lose their franchise cornerstone. The ongoing chatter highlights the increasing fluidity in NBA team constructions, where star players are more frequently the focal point of high-profile trades and signings. Meanwhile, the potential impact on Giannis Antetokounmpo's career trajectory is a hot topic among basketball pundits and enthusiasts. Moving from Milwaukee, where he has been the face of the franchise and a community hero, to a media market as intense and demanding as Los Angeles would mark a significant transition for the player. The Lakers offer a platform with global visibility, championship aspirations, and the opportunity to team up with other notable stars, which might appeal to Giannis's ambitions. However, such a move would also bring immense pressure to deliver immediate results and meet the high expectations that come with playing for one of the NBA's most storied franchises. Speculation also surrounds how this potential partnership would affect team chemistry and Giannis's playing style, given the different dynamics in Los Angeles compared to Milwaukee. The rumors have sparked debates on how this move could elevate Giannis's legacy, potentially placing him in a conversation alongside other Lakers legends who have defined eras with their performances. For the Milwaukee Bucks, the possibility of losing Giannis Antetokounmpo raises questions about their future and strategy. The team's identity has been deeply intertwined with Giannis, who has not only been their leading scorer, but also a cultural icon within the city. Speculative discussion suggests that if the Lakers' pursuit becomes reality, Milwaukee's management would need to pivot quickly, focusing on rebuilding or reshaping the roster to maintain competitiveness. Such a scenario could involve acquiring young talent, draft picks, or other star players to fill the void left by Giannis. Fans in Milwaukee are reportedly concerned but hopeful that the franchise can navigate this challenge successfully, even as the rumors swirl about the superstar's potential departure. This uncertainty adds a layer of drama to the NBA offseason, as teams must balance the immediate need to win with long-term planning. The Bucks' response to this speculation will be closely watched, as it could set the tone for their strategy in the coming seasons and influence how other teams approach building their rosters. The wider NBA landscape could also be transformed if Giannis Antetokounmpo does indeed join the Los Angeles Lakers, as rumors suggest. Such a move would likely trigger a domino effect of trades, signings, and strategic shifts across the league, with many franchises reacting to the emergence of a super team in Los Angeles. This potential blockbuster deal would intensify rivalries, especially within the Western Conference, where competition is already fierce. Teams like the Golden State Warriors, Phoenix Suns, and Denver Nuggets might find themselves needing to reassess their approaches to maintain parity. Meanwhile, the Eastern Conference could experience its own shifts as Milwaukee potentially rebuilds. The prospect of Giannis joining the Lakers also fuels discussions about the evolving nature of player agency and how stars increasingly influence franchise decisions. Whether or not this rumor comes to fruition, it has undeniably energized the NBA offseason conversation, reminding fans and insiders that the landscape of professional basketball is always subject to change, with surprises often just around the corner. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.